In this video, I am going to give you a quick recap about circles, specifically some of the vocab related to circles, as well as some formulas related to circles. So let's start with some vocabulary. Notice that the blue dot in the middle of the circle is known as the circle's center. The orange line that is connecting the outer edge of the circle to the middle is called the radius. Now, it's important to note that the radius is really the distance between the center of the circle and the edge. So I could draw the radius here, I could draw the radius here, I could draw the radius here. The radius is this entire distance. It's always going to be the same in any of those orange lines that I just drew. Um, the diameter is the line, this green line here, and the diameter connects two edges of the circle, two sides of the circle through the middle. So the diameter again can be drawn anywhere, but the important thing is it goes from one end of the circle to the other and it has to go through the middle. So these could all be known as the diameter. And again, it has to go through the middle of the circle. And the last piece of vocab here is this red word circumference. Circumference is a fancy word for the perimeter of a circle. Okay, so the circumference is the distance around the outside of the circle. Okay, again, it's called circumference. And just to note, all of these words um, are often referred to also using letters. So the circumference you'll see is referred to as C, the radius you'll see is referred to as R, and you'll see the diameter referred to as D. Okay. All right. So you've probably heard the word pi. Okay. Pi is a special word that has to do with circles. And when I say pi, I'm saying pi, not a slice of pie, but rather this Greek symbol. And pi is the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter. So, what I mean by that is when we calculate pi, pi is going to be the circumference of a circle divided by its diameter, or also known as a ratio. So, if you measure any circle and you measure the outside of the circle, their circumference, divide that by the same circle's diameter, you will get very close to, if not exactly, the value of pi. Now, pi is often known as 3.14. Okay, pi is an irrational number, meaning it goes on forever and never ends, but we often refer to it as this 3.14 number. All right, so the formula is related to circles. So the first here is the area of a circle. Okay, the area of a circle is known as pi r squared. In other words, I'm going to take pi and I'm going to multiply it by the radius times the radius, right? That's what it means to be radius squared. The circumference, okay, is again taking now that d means diameter and multiplying it by pi. So let's put some of these to work. Our first example here has a circle here, and hopefully you're able to identify that this circle this is the radius. Okay, the radius is 5 centimeters. So if I'm going to find the area then is going to be pi radius squared, so 5 squared, and that's going to give me an answer of 25 pi, and then my units are going to be centimeters squared. It's important to note here that this is the most precise answer when I leave it in terms of pi. You could go do 25 times 3.14, but that's going to be an approximate answer. This purple answer is the most exact. Okay, now let's solve for the circumference. Okay, so the circumference is the diameter times pi. So if I know that my radius is 5, now I have to calculate, remember that green line from the beginning, the diameter. Okay. Hopefully, you've realized by now that the diameter is going to be the same thing as 2r, or 2 of the radiuses, 2 radii. Okay. So if my radius here is 5, I know that my diameter is then going to be 10. So my circumference is going to be 10 pi. And then my units here are just centimeters because that's a distance. So it's just centimeters. Again, we could do 10 times 3.14 for an approximate answer, but this purple answer is the most exact. So my area is 25 centimeters squared, and my circumference is 10 centimeters squared. All right, here's another one. Find the area and circumference of the circle. So we're going to start with the area. Notice here that I, in this situation, have given you the diameter. The diameter is 8 inches, which means we need to then calculate the radius. Remember on the last slide, I told you that the diameter is the same thing as 2r. So if the diameter is 8, then my radius is going to equal 4. Okay, so when I do my math up here for my area, it's pi r squared. So pi 4 squared, which is going to get me to 16 pi, and my units are inches squared. So that's my area. Now my circumference here is quite simple because you were already given the diameter in the problem. So my circumference is going to be 8 pi inches. All right, one more problem. Okay, it says the circle below has a circumference of 12 pi feet. Find the circle's area. All right, this one's a little trickier. We know that the distance around the circle, okay, also known as the circumference, is 12 pi, okay? We also know, keeping in mind this right here, is that the circumference is the same thing as d, or the diameter, times pi. Based on this information, we can recognize that this means that our diameter is 12, okay, or 12 feet based on our units. If our diameter is 12 feet, then I know that my radius is going to equal 6 feet, because remember, the radius is half of the diameter. So now I can go back and find the circle's area. So if the area is pi r squared, I'm going to have pi times 6 squared, which is going to get me to an answer of 36 pi feet squared. Hopefully this all makes sense. I know that was a really brief recap of circles. If you have any questions, let us know, and good luck.